All right, joining us now to share his story. He's an incredible developer, friend, and also businessman. Steve Witkoff is with us. Steve, great to see you. Thanks for being with us. When I met you for breakfast yesterday, I didn't think you'd be on this TV show today, and I didn't think you'd go through everything you went through yesterday. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad the president is okay. Why don't you tell this audience everything that happened?
Well, first of all, Sean, thanks for having me. Yesterday was quite a day. I actually feel blessed that I was there yesterday. And the reason I feel blessed, Sean, is that I got to see what it's like for my dear friend to live his normal life. His normal life, which is punctuated by 2 attempts to assassinate him in the last 60 days, being vilified since he left the presidency, falsely accused, harassed. To me, he gave 4 years of his best years to public service. He ought to be commended for the job that he did. And yet here he was yesterday on a beautiful day, just trying to get some rest and relaxation, like all the rest of us. And there's a man with a machine gun, an assault rifle, who's attempting to kill him. It was terrible. But I got to see a man who was stoic, courageous, cared about his friend's safety and first before his own life. He was an inspiration to everybody who was around him yesterday. I wish the whole country could have witnessed what happened yesterday, because they would have seen a real leader.
Okay, so you're walking up to the green, and you're looking to putt. All of a sudden, you hear the gunshots. What did it sound like? Did you know immediately there were gunshots? Did you know the direction they came from?
Immediately. I'm a gun carrier, so and I've been a gun carrier for 35 years. So it was you knew immediately it was gunfire. It didn't sound like firecrackers. The Secret Service were exceptional. They had the president secured, in my estimation, because I was 5 yards away from him, in my estimation, maybe after the first shot, certainly after the second shot. So by the time the fourth shot rang out, the president was on his way with that detail. It was as if they had practiced it 500 times before. It was pretty awesome to watch them, and they were heroic because their lives were on the line. They were exposed at that moment. The sniper teams deployed right next to me, maybe a yard or two away, with their tripods, aiming at the tree line. We saw the Secret Service, other detail members converging with golf carts on that area where clearly the shots had come from. And the president was safe, thank God.
Let me ask you this. So the Secret Service around you, and I agree based on everything you told me, they were phenomenal. They, within seconds, within a second or two, they were on the president. They got him off the golf course immediately. You told me that you stood up the whole time. You never sat down. And then you talked about other Secret Service. They had their tripods. There were snipers, but they were in an open field. They were on a golf course. They were sitting ducks themselves, but they put their lives at risk. So everybody around the president at that moment, I mean, I don't have enough adjectives to describe the level of heroism. That's what you're describing rightly to us, right?
That's correct. They were, each and every one of them put themselves in harm's way to put themselves in between the shooter and the president. I was standing up, as I said. To this day, to this minute, I don't know why I continued to stand. I think it maybe has something to do with just by osmosis being around my friend. He's so courageous that you feel inspired that you want to demonstrate a little bit of that yourself if you can. But they put themselves between that shooter and the president, and there's no mistaking that. I watched it all happen.
Let me ask you this question, and I'll get into this more. I had a conversation with Eric and Laura Trump yesterday, and Eric's coming on after you. And the only problem I have, the area is close to a street called Congress Avenue, and it's between Congress Avenue. It is the part of the golf course that is closest to that street, and between the street and the golf course is a treed area and a fence. This is where the would-be assassin was hiding. And what frustrates me, that is 300 or plus yards or so from where you were, from where the president was. That area apparently was never checked. And I'm having a hard time understanding why, from a security standpoint, nobody checked that area on that street and checked that wooded area when the president is within that tight range. And in this case, with somebody that ends up having an AK-47 with a scope on it, that is the failure part to me. And I am not negating all the heroism that you witnessed yesterday.
Well, you know, Sean, I mean, I wasn't out on the periphery, but as I understand it, there was an agent who was on the outside fence line between Congress Avenue and the fence or tree line, and he had checked that area and just missed the shooter, the assassin. And then, as it was supposed to happen, there's an advance man, and this is every time I play with the president, and I've played with him quite a bit. There's an advance person who is going in front of us, scanning the area of the next hole or any vulnerable areas, and it worked as it should. He actually looked towards that tree line. By the way, you got to look pretty closely. I mean, it's a gun barrel, so it's not so easy to see inside of those trees.
Well, that part was amazing.
And this guy engaged, and
that part was
it's
amazing.
nothing short of incredible.
Yeah, if that guy didn't see that gun barrel, we'd be talking about a funeral in all likelihood today. That's how close President Trump again came to be assassinated. My question is a little bit different. I would think that the proper procedure would be make sure clear that wooded area and make sure it's checked. And at that point, make sure that you have enough agents to keep their eyes and make sure that nobody goes back into that wooded area. Does that make sense?
No, of course it does. And look, that goes to manpower, and you know, you have people who were interviewed in the last day, including the Palm Beach sheriff, who said that the president did not get the full complement of a detail as if a sitting president would have been out there. So I can't. I'm not the expert. I can't tell you that the full complement would have made a difference yesterday. I only know this. He really. You know, I have a little love thing for my dear friend, and I say to myself, thank God that he was not injured or killed, and thank God none of the other people. There were plenty of civilians, by the way, staffers from his office, people who care about him just as much as I do, two other friends of his. So there could have been a lot of really serious damage out there, and there wasn't. And I'm grateful to that agent who interdicted and that entire team.
I'm grateful for all of the heroism you're describing. I do not want to minimize that in any way. I do think that something did go wrong on the outside of that perimeter, by that wooded area, by that fence. I think they have to look into that. I think Eric, who will join us next, agrees with me on that part. The fact that you've been willing to share what is great heroism with us is greatly appreciated. I'm glad you're safe. The president is safe. I'm glad all the agents are safe. Anyway, Steve, thank you, sir.